Alright, so I'm back, and yes, I'm wearing the same shirt. It's not... this is the same day as the previous video, so... it's... Yeah. I like to record all my videos at once, but sometimes it does come off like, oh, he's a dirty guy because he's wearing the same shirt for 3 or 4 days in a row. Not the case. So today we're going to be talking about Transformers Prime Season 2. So this is the follow-up season to Season 1, obviously. Season 2. If you can't figure that one out, sorry, I think we're going to have to put you down. So this is where things get a little bit darker. More character development happens in this one. And all in all, it's a great sequel series or season to the first one. So there's not a whole lot I can say about the show without going into more detail. We get more character development with Mech, Megatron and company, Starscream, who's on his own, and the Autobots, and the humans even. Everything kind of really becomes better in this season, and that's really hard to do because the first one I gave a 10 out of 10. So this one, it has its down moments and slower episodes, but it definitely re-solidifies the fact that Transformers, and in this case, in particular, the Prime series, is not just a great show, but is probably one of the best Transformers properties out there. I know I'm going to get a lot of people saying that's not true, but in my opinion, it's very well done. It's better acted, better drawn, better directed than any of the G1 episodes, and I really hate to say that because I'm a huge G1 fan, and I know a lot of people out there are gonna hate the fact that I'm saying that there's an episode or series that's better than the original cartoon, but the point of what I'm trying to make is the fact that sometimes the original cartoon made no sense. Sometimes there's so many animation errors that it took you out of the episode. Like when you're seeing a Hotspot standing next to Defensor, and they're about the same size, it takes you out of the episode. When I made that point a couple weeks ago when I was talking about scale, and the fact that Devastator and Omega Supreme are almost the same height, and Omega Supreme can fit Astro Train in his hand, but Devastator can combine inside of Astro Train. That makes you stop and go, what the hell is going on? And some of the episodes just don't make sense. But I think everything on this makes it better, because they're able, and also because they have smaller crews than G1. G1, you had tons of Autobots and Decepticons everywhere. And don't get me wrong, I love that. But if you're looking for a good story arc, you need smaller crews. That's why I really enjoyed Beast Wars too, because it really focused on, I think at any given time, maximum maybe 14 characters in the entire show on both sides. So again, so from this point on, we're going to go into spoilers. Some spoilers. I can't talk about every single thing about every single episode out there because that I just don't have the time. But anyway, it comes with this the slipcase, which is just identical to the CD or DVD case. I don't know why I keep the slipcases on these, but I do. If it came with a little flyer added, I don't have it. So, but it's got the 4 discs. Disc 1, disc 2, 3, and disc 4. So yeah, we'll just briefly run through the episodes. We got Orion Pax parts 1 through 3. Now this is a great great 3-part episode. Yeah, you got Starscream on his own. You've got Autobots trying to figure out what's going on. Why Optimus is now Orion, how he lost his memory, and they're having to go to Cybertron to retrieve, refill the key to Vector Sigma and Matrix kind of thing. And Megatron has Orion, and he's using him to decode a bunch of Autobot transmissions, where it turns out that there are a whole bunch of relics. We saw a few relics in the first season, but there are more of these relics on Earth, and they have the coordinates, they just can't decode them. So Orion's starting to do that, and same with, the Autobots haven't gotten there yet because they're focused on trying to save Orion. So it was a great episode. You actually get to go to the Cybertron. RC and Jack go there, and Jack's actually wearing astronaut gear, so that's cool, because in the original show they just sent the humans to Cybertron thinking, oh yeah, a planet full of metallic life forms only. In an entire industrial society like that, yeah, sure, it could probably sustain human life too, right? Makes perfect sense. I really don't mean to rag on G1 right now, but I'm just saying it made more sense that he had it. And you also get to see the first Insecticon. Now this is one point where by the end of the season, I don't like what happened with the Insecticon in this episode. But the Insecticon just beat the hell out of RC, and he just mowed right through everything. I mean, this thing, he was big, he was mean, he was tough. And you get to see another Insecticon in a few episodes, but this thing was pretty brutal, and I really enjoyed it. And we'll get to why I didn't like that by the end of the episode. But yeah, it was great, and then of course, they saved the day and everybody's back to normal. Yay! Operation Bumblebee's part 1 and 2. Bumblebee gets hijacked by Mech, and they steal his transformation cog. Now he can't transform. He's stuck in robot mode. This was a great 2-part episode because, one, Mech is now working with Starscream, or Starscream is working for them, however you want to picture it. And Bumblebee's going through all this stuff, and Ratchet's going through all this stuff because Ratchet was the one that couldn't fix his voice box. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Bumblebee just makes noises. Like in the movies, he should be able to talk. But, this they explained that it was Megatron that ripped out his voice box and crushed it. And Ratchet just wasn't good enough to fix it. So that's something I did enjoy. And it made that whole story arc with Bumblebee not being able to talk, it all made that make sense. But you also see Bumblebee fight a bunch of Mech guys, and you see him really lose his cool. I mean, he goes from, the cool, he's Bumblebee, to this violent killing machine that these Transformers really are. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Next one we get was Loose Cannons. And Loose Cannons was where Wheeljack comes back, and he's been fighting Dreadwing across the galaxy. And turns out Dreadwing has systematically killed all the Wreckers, which instantly makes me a fan favorite of Dreadwing. I really enjoy Dreadwing's character, and I really enjoyed the actor that plays him, Candyman. He was also the Fallen in The Revenge of the Fallen. I really enjoy that actor. a lot of people probably know this already, but I'm a huge Star Trek fan. But if you actually watch a lot of the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine episodes, he's actually in there a lot as a Klingon. So it's enjoyable for me. To see him as a Klingon, then hear him as the Fallen, and then hear him as Dreadwing. It was good for me. But anyways, he makes this really compelling, evil sounding but honorable villain, and he really just wrecks some shit. I really enjoyed Dreadwing. He's probably, of the new characters in season 2, he's probably my second favorite, and we'll get into that later. But he was just great. I really enjoyed it. Wheeljack, he comes back, and then he takes his own ship and he flies off, and he comes back when they need help, kind of thing. So, Crossfire. I believe. I want to say. I'm trying to just kind of look ahead here. Crossfire was the one where Megatron is he's done with Arachnid. He's done with her. He didn't like the fact that she left Starscream behind. In season 1, and that's why Starscream's no longer with the Decepticon army. And the fact she was quickly wanting to just give up the planet, let Unicron win. She didn't care about the safety of Megatron. He's over her. So he sends Breakdown and Dreadwing to go finish her off. So they get into the woods, and she antagonizes Breakdown while Dreadwing was captured or caught in some webs. So Breakdown runs after her and she kills him. She just butchers him, which was great. I like that. It kind of wish it would have happened the other way around, but whatever. And then Mech finds Breakdown's body, so they take that, and then I believe that's, I am thinking of the correct episode. I was just trying to remember. It's been a little while since I watched these ones too. Probably over a year now. I need to rewatch all my Transformers shows one by one. But anyway, so it was a very enjoyable episode. Arachnid finds a Insecticon, and she finds out that she's able to control him mentally, and she uses that to challenge Megatron to a duel. They get in a huge... Megatron gets in a fight with the Insecticon, and Arachnid was able to web his cannon up so that he couldn't use his cannon, so it was a fist fight. Again, these two duke it out pretty good. Megatron comes out on top, of course, but he's pretty hurt at the end of it. So again, the Insecticons are pretty tough little bastards. And then the Autobots get involved. Optimus is ready to execute him. Execute Megatron. A whole bunch of chaos happens. It's a great episode. Arachnid, at the very end, she's going deeper into the cave to try and hide. She finds an Insecticon hive down there. Not just one more Insecticon, a hive of them. both the Autobots and Decepticons realize that if Optimus has the opportunity, he will execute Megatron, which is great. That's something that they need from their leader to do. And Dreadwing gets promoted to second in command of the Decepticons because he disobeyed Megatron's direct order not to get involved. But because he got involved, that's why Megatron's still alive. So that was great. I really liked that. Megatron, he looks for that in his second in command, as somebody that will not always listen to him, but do what's right for the entire cause. Because Megatron does get blind. He gets tunnel vision, so to speak, to what he needs. Or what he wants, and sometimes he just needs somebody else to either talk him out of it or work their own agenda in the background to make sure that the still overall Decepticon cause is continuing. I like that. It was a very brief conversation between the two, but that's what I picked up from it. And so anyway. Then we get into disc 2, which has Nemesis Prime on it. That's where Mech builds a clone of Optimus Prime and starts raising hell with the army. They track it down, and basically you get the fighting between Optimus and Nemesis, which was a great fight. I did enjoy the fact that Nemesis, because of the fighting skills of the human that was controlling it, was a better fighter than Optimus. I thought that was pretty good because giant robots would rely a lot on their guns and tech, as opposed to fighting skills like military combats type fighting. I would say a trained military operative would be better than Decepticon, because Decepticons just don't care about fighting that much. They just brute force kind of thing. Anyway, so it was a very enjoyable fight. Not the greatest fight in this series, but it was enjoyable. I did enjoy watching Optimus defeat him, and he very deliberately had to have thrown Nemesis into the factory to land on the person controlling it, the head of Mech, Silas. I mean, he threw Nemesis Prime through it at this human, and with every intention. I mean, seriously, if you throw a 5-story robot at somebody, your intention is to kill that somebody. I mean, yeah. I'll put this at home. Sorry about that. Phone was ringing and I had to get a new Mountain Dew. Please sponsor me, Mountain Dew. Anyway, so Nemesis Prime was a great episode. I did enjoy it. And it really makes you think the end of Mech is there. They do talk about how at the very end how they're going to try and rebuild Silas the best they can, because he did get away. But it was a pretty good episode. Grill. This was an enjoyable episode to a point. It's basically one of those rehash episodes where they just kind of show clips from the previous seasons. And only main difference is that the Captain Fallon? The human general guy or whatever he was, Agent Fowler, I think that's it. He was he's getting grilled by the general about the involvement with the Autobots and how things are going and all that stuff. It was a good episode. If you like those kind of episodes, the kind of like, oh, here's what's been going on and catch up kind of thing. You see this more with comedies. Like Simpsons, I know, does that a lot. Scrubs did it a few times. I'm sure Big Bang Theory will do it at some point too. But I don't think we've really seen it with Transformers before. So it was different, but it wasn't... It's not a critical... I would say the best part of the episode, though, was... Fowler was saying how they had found out that the core of the planet was Unicron, and the general gets really like, okay, we need to get you a full psych right now. You're absolutely out of your mind. And Fowler's like, I don't understand. I'm just giving you what's going on. Well, you did say the core of the world was possessed by a unicorn, didn't you? And they both just stared at each other for a minute. I couldn't hold myself together. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, Armada. This one was probably. Let's see. I'm just kind of looking through. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. Of season 2. Starscream finds a whole bunch of Stasis protoforms. So he clones himself. So there's a whole bunch of clones of Starscream, which I was really hoping that we'd get, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Dirge, Ramjet, Thrust. I thought that would be really good, but we don't. So he attacks... he sends all his clones to the Decepticon ship to attempt to try and assassinate Megatron. Bulkhead accidentally gets sucked up into the Decepticon warship when he found a bunch of Energon. So it was cool seeing him sneaking around, Starscream sneaking around. He got in a fight with one of the Starscream clones and kills him. Which then the real Starscream realizes that it hurts him if his clones get hurt. And it just kind of goes back and forth from there. And then, to make things even more interesting, this is when Arachnid decides, oh, hey, the shields are down at the moment. So she sends the entire swarm of Insecticons after Megatron too. So Megatron's just like, wow, the treachery just will not cease today. So he's fighting off the Insecticons, he's fighting off Starscream clones, Bulkhead's over there smashing the ship, RC and the Autobots are attacking Arachnid, and then Arachnid finally gets captured, and then once she gets sealed in one of the Insecticon chamber things, all the Insecticons revert back to Megatron's control. Starscream clones are all but one dead, and he goes after Starscream, which doesn't work out because Starscream kills him. Oh, and Starscream lost his T-Cog a while ago too, back in Operation Bumblebee Part 2. So he can't transform no more. So then the clone comes there. Starscream's like, okay, I'm anticipating it, and kills him. And he tears his T-Cog out, and he realizes that it's damaged, and he doesn't know if he can put it in or not. Anyway, great episode. We finally, Arachnid's gone, which is great. Starscream's in the same boat that he always was in. But we do get to see him get killed a bunch of times, which was enjoyable. And Megatron obviously was enjoying that too. And now Megatron has the Insecticon swarm on his side. So that was great. Like I said, it's a very enjoyable episode. I really liked it. Everything's going chaotic everywhere. And at the very end, Bulkhead smashes the generators to escape from the ship, which causes the Decepticon warship to crash. And then, in the next episode, Flying Mind, Optimus and company decide, okay, now's the time. We need to attack, and we need to attack, full force. So they all grab a bunch of Decepticon relics. The Spark Extractor, actually, I think that's what they grabbed. and they were going after the Decepticons. They were going to end the war. Megatron decided that he's going to put Dark Energon into the ship, which reactivates the ship, and upgrades it, and it like freezes all the Autobots into like a stasis lock, and then then it starts freezing the Decepticons one by one because they're trying to fight it, because it's got a mind of its own, because now it's continuing on its primary mission, which is to find the other relics. So it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it, and just just watching one by one the Decepticons failing to try and stop this thing, and then the humans had to go in there to help the Decepticons, because by stopping the ship they revived their friends, and it was a good episode. I did enjoy it. And then that really pulls into the next tunnel vision, triangulation, triage, and toxicity. Those 4 episodes were result from Flying Mind, because now they know the coordinates of a bunch of the Autobot and Decepticon relics. So now everyone's splitting apart to get it, which goes right into it. Tunnel vision was Bumblebee and RC had to go to the tunnel to get the phase shifter, I believe, and they're up against Knockout and an Insecticon. And a couple Vehicons, which was, again, the Insecticon really tore some shit up. So I really enjoyed that episode. That was a fun one. Triangulation. Triangulation, I believe, was the one where Optimus goes to the Arctic after the stealth armor, or not the stealth armor, the Apex armor, and Dreadwing shows up with a bunch of Decepticons, the Air Vehicons, and Starscream shows up riding a little scooter. it was great. The Vehicons get trashed. Optimus and Dreadwing fight. Nothing really happens between those two. They're just kind of back and forth. Starscream tries to get involved on one side, and then he tries to be friends with the other side, as Starscream's prone to doing. But he ends up getting the Apex armor, and now Optimus and Dreadwing have to team up to stop Starscream. And in the end, they break the ice out from underneath him, and Starscream sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And you see him slowly walking back towards the U.S., which was great. I really enjoyed that episode. Again, most of these episodes are pretty good. Then there's Triage, where Ratchet and Wheeljack go after the little sonic device that Soundwave's trying to get. And we get to see Wheeljack, who was one of the better fighters of the Autobots, fight Soundwave, and you could see that Soundwave was pretty equal fight, and Soundwave ends up getting the sonic device, and seamlessly just beats the hell out of Wheeljack, which was great. Then they plant a bomb inside Laserbeak, and also a decryptor, so that they can get more coordinates of more things when they get them up there, when they plug Soundwave back in. And all in all, it was great. It was a lot of fun. And then we get into Disc 3 with Toxicity, where Bulkhead finds out that the relic he was after was actually just a casing filled with toxic energon, which is like this poison to them. And that was probably my favorite of those 4 episodes, because he has to fight, I think it's 3 different 3 Insecticons and Hardshell, who was the toughest of the Insecticons. Even Megatron asked. He went into the hive and he says, "Who's the most powerful Insecticon?" And Hardshell stood up and he's like, "That's me." He's got scars on his face. He's missing pieces of an antenna. He's just this big, mean thing. And, he brags that he's killed Wreckers before. He's killed Autobots before. So, he was a very interesting character because, he's been there all along, essentially. But he's now just standing up like, yeah, that's me. I'm the badass of the Insecticons. I'm the one that should be in charge of these things. So it was really fun to watch that. And, he beat the ever-living crap out of Bulkhead pretty much every opportunity he had. And it was a great turnaround. Bulkhead was able to kill all the other Insecticons, but he couldn't finish off Hardshell. And Hardshell thought he had finished Bulkhead off. Bulkhead goes sliding into the Autobot base, through the space bridge, and he's just smoldering. He's got holes in him. I mean, he is just destroyed from Hardshell. Hardshell did a real good number on him, and it was really enjoyable to see that. And then the next episode was Hurt, which was the... Let's see. Hurt was the follow-up episode to that, where Bulkhead's so badly hurt, and Ratchet's trying to repair him, and Miko and Wheeljack go after Hardshell. And that goes back and forth, but at the end, Miko is the one that shoots Hardshell and kills him. Cheap shot from behind inside the Autobot ship. He didn't see it coming, so he got destroyed. But had she not gotten involved, Wheeljack would have been killed by Hardshell, and that was great. I really enjoyed that because, again, he really, really was cool. I really enjoyed Hardshell. I really wish we could have gotten more of him. Let's see, Out of the Past. Out of the Past would be Bulkhead's still hurt. Miko's looking for some sort of... she's trying to be alone and whatever. And RC talks to her about how after she lost Tailgate, she didn't want to get another partner, and Cliffjumper kind of got involved. And I don't think The Rock reprised his role for that one. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. So that was a good episode. Mostly because you get to see Shockwave, and the first episode of Shockwave with it, and he really was a boss. I really liked him. Even down to the way his cannon sounded when he shot it. It just... in season 3, when he actually becomes a character... Sorry if you haven't seen season 3 if I just spoiled that, but I don't care. I told you, spoilers ahead. Anyway. His cannon just didn't sound the same, but it was really cool seeing Shockwave and seeing that he was that much of a badass then. And just for one episode. Next was New Recruit. Which is where we actually get my actual favorite character from season 2, being Smokescreen. He comes down, he's brash, he's young, he just got out of the academy, he's ready for fighting, and when the war really broke out in Cybertron, he got guard duty at the library. I really enjoyed that. And then Alpha Trion knocks him out and sends him to Earth in a little space shuttle. So, and it was a Decepticon space shuttle, so they didn't know if it was a Decepticon or an Autobot that was going to come out. That was pretty cool. And just his characterization was good because he was nothing like Smokescreen from G1. He was much more like, I want to say almost like Hot Rod type character, where he's brash, he's young, he's got the skill, he's a little arrogant, so they don't want to use him. But when they do, the job gets done. And yeah, that was really, really good episode. See, the human factor. So Silas comes back. He's now in what's left of Breakdown's body. And first thing he does was he wrecks a base to get attention. And then he gets captured by the Decepticons willingly. He goes there and says that he wants to be, he just wants to be part of the team. He wants to be a new Decepticon. And, Megatron gives him a shot. And Silas is, one of the things Silas brought to the table was he had this device, this satellite that had a laser beam, and he was going to give it to the Decepticons to use them to pinpoint the Autobots one by one and just destroy them with this giant laser beam, which would be pretty cool. The episode goes back and forth. Bulkhead finally comes back after being injured for so long and gets in a fight with him. It doesn't go so well for Bulkhead because he's still injured and Silas still has better training. And then Smokescreen gets involved in that too, so it was 2-on-1. And they win. Silas runs. He gets called back after the satellite gets destroyed. And Silas is telling Megatron, he's like, I'm sorry, give me another shot. I just want a seat at the table. Optimus is like, or not Optimus, Megatron's like, oh yeah, you got your place on the table. Knockout's autopsy table. And that was really fun because that was the last time we get to see Silas this season. And we don't know what Knockout has planned for him, but you see them drag him off, and it's like, wow, that's brutal. Let's see. Legacy. I believe Legacy was the one where they find the sword, the Prime Sword. I can't remember what they're called. The Skybreaker. I think Skybreaker, Starbreaker, Skybreaker. Anyway, they find that Optimus gets it and he cleaves a mountain in half. I mean, the whole episode, pretty much that's what happens. It wasn't that... The whole episode wasn't, awesome and incredible, but once he gets that sword, then it was pretty epic. Pretty sure that's what happens. Yeah. Alpha, Omega, Megatron realizes that there's no winning against that sword that Optimus has. He cannot fight it. So he takes Dreadwing to Cybertron and decides, because he's got the Sigma, the hammer of Sigma or whatever. Sigma hammer? can't remember what they called it. Anyway, they've got the Forge of Solus Prime. Forge of Solus Prime, which is the big hammer. So Megatron and Dreadwing go to Cybertron. They dig up an old Prime, and he chops his arm off and he puts it on Megatron. So he's got a Prime arm, so he can wield the Forge, which was awesome. I really enjoyed that. It was something I wasn't expecting, that he'd go that far. I thought, maybe he'd try and use the Dark Energon and revive one. You'd think that'd be an easier solution, but no, he wields the arm onto him. And then he forges the sword of the Dark Energon sword. And Optimus and him get in a fight, and Optimus' sword gets broken. Let's see. Hard Knocks. I believe Hard Knocks was... everyone was trying to get the Omega keys. An inside job. Everyone's trying to get the Omega keys, and it kind of goes back and forth. Who's going to get them, who's not going to get them. And at one point, they find out that one of the keys is inside a smokescreen, and so Decepticons have 2 of the keys, and the Autobots have one of the keys, I think. But Smokescreen steals all the Decepticon keys. So now only Starscream has one, and the Autobots have the 3. But at the very end, Starscream is able to get into the Autobot headquarters, and he steals the all 4 keys, or the other 3 keys. So now he has all 4, and he goes to Megatron, and he's saying, I went back in. Here's my application. I've got all 4 Omega keys. Which leads into the next episode, Patch, where Megatron's not sure of Starscream's intentions, so he decides that he's going to plug into his brain and extract that information personally. And again, it's another one of those episodes where it goes back and shows everything that's going on in the show, or what's been going on. Mostly it's a Starscream episode. But the most enjoyable part was the fact that Dreadwing finds out that his brother, he knew his brother had died, Skyquake had died, and but he didn't know that he was revived as a zombie and then left in the Shadow Zone wandering around aimlessly. So he really, really hates Starscream now. And so Starscream's back in. Dreadwing's pissed off. And that's how that episode ends. Then there's Regeneration and Darkest Hour. In these episodes, first thing that happens is Dreadwing brings the Forge to Optimus. Just cause. And then he goes after Starscream. And he tries to kill Starscream, but Megatron ends up executing Dreadwing instead. And tells Starscream, don't ever let me regret doing that. So Optimus rebuilds his sword. They all go to Cybertron. They're all fighting over the keys, the Omega keys, and the Omega lock, and kind of goes back and forth. And this is where I start having a hard time with the Insecticons. This episode and last few episodes is, you know, at first when they first came out, the Insecticons were big, bad bugs. But by the end of this season, yeah, they were tough, but you see the Autobots destroying them left and right still. So I didn't like that. But Megatron decides that he's going to use the Forge to rebuild Cybertron, but first he's going to rebuild Earth. Optimus can't have that, so he destroys the lock. They all flee. They go back to Earth, and they find out that there's a big Citadel standing there. They call the warship over. Huge fight ensues. It's pretty cool. You also get to see Starscream being air commander of the Decepticon forces, which is something we didn't get to really see throughout the season yet, where he's taking control of it. You know, there are dogfights and between him and Wheeljack's ship, and he destroys Wheeljack's ship, and then they bring in the big Decepticon warship, and they blow up the whole mountain. Optimus is stuck in there. We don't know if Optimus survived. Everyone's fleeing. Autobots are everywhere. And that's how the season ends. So all in all, it was a great season. I really did enjoy it. A couple twists in there that I wasn't seeing. Like, you know, Arachnid killing Breakdown. Just dead. Pretty much off screen, too. Silas, you know, they go to all this trouble of building this backstories for Silas to become a Decepticon, and he gets one episode, and then and then he gets, you know, dragged off. You know, Dreadwing, loyal subject of Megatron, betrays Megatron to try and kill Starscream, so Megatron kills him, which was great. All of these things were really good. Good episodes. You know, great twist turns, and just all around. I give this a 10 out of 10, just like I did the season 1. But yeah, these guys, the writers of these shows really knew what they were doing, and I really like Smokescreen's character slowly becoming more of a main character, which was great. So yeah, I do recommend it.